Okay, in the lab, we are going to have to calculate how to get 2 grams of one of the compounds that are insoluble in water. The sodium carbonate is soluble, so the zinc carbonate in this case will be the one that is insoluble. And we need to make the calculations on how much of zinc sulfate heptahydrate and how much sodium carbonate we are going to need to get those 2 grams, no more nor less. Okay? So the first thing that we are going to do is to calculate the molar masses, since this equation is balanced like that. We don't need to balance because it's already balanced. Okay? So we are going to calculate the molar masses. I'm going to stop the recording. We are going to put the molar masses of each one, including the water in this case. Okay, so we are going to show it in steps, and then make our calculations. Okay. Okay, we put the molar masses of each of the elements that are included there. I think we are missing the sodium. The sodium is 23. So if we add up for the zinc sulfate, it's going to be zinc 65. The sulfur is 32. The oxygen is 16 times 4, which is 64. And then we have 7 times the water, which is 7 times 18. And that is 96, I think. We're going to see in a little bit. Okay? So can someone do this calculation? Yes. So we calculated the amount of 7 molecules of water, which is 7 times 18, which is 126. Okay? This amount plus the oxygen plus the sulfur plus the zinc, it gives us 287. It means that the molar mass of this one is 287 grams. And we need to include the water because when we measure the mass of the solid, the water is included in the solid. Okay, it's inside the crystals. So that's why we need to count it. Now, for this one, we have 2 times sodium, which is 46, plus 12 of the carbon, plus 3 times 16, which is 48. That makes a total of 106. So 106 would be the mass of, in grams, the mass of the sodium carbonate. That is going to give me the same as 65 plus 12 plus 48. That is going to be for the zinc carbonate, and that is 125 grams. We don't need to do the other ones, but we are going to do that just for corroborate that the law of conservation of mass is okay here. So I'm going to put pause to erase some things. Okay, so the sodium sulfate is 142 grams, and the 7 waters is 126 grams. If we made everything correct, these masses on the right side of the arrow should be the same as this amount. If there is a discrepancy, let me know before going on. So double check that. In the meantime, I'm going to erase this so we can make the calculations. It's the same? Perfect. So now, we need to calculate how much of the reactants, both reactants, we are going to need for making 2 grams of the zinc carbonate. That is going to be the one that precipitates. So what we are going to do is to write down underneath the sodium carbonate, for example, how many grams I need of this one to get 2 grams of this one. And if you notice, we already have underneath the units where we need the information from. So the only thing that we are missing are the lines for our proportion, and we can check the numbers from there. So X in this case will be 106 grams of sodium carbonate, and now I'm going to put the units complete so we know if we are doing the correct thing or not, times 2 grams of zinc carbonate divided by what? 125 grams of what? Oh, I put 112, 12 instead of 125. 125 grams of zinc carbonate. So zinc carbonate can be cancelled, yes? So we can cancel this one and this one. So X would be 1.66 grams. We have to round to 2 decimals, so X will be 1.70 grams of sodium carbonate. And that is the first thing that we need to calculate. That is our X. But now we are going to do the same thing, but instead of calculating the mass of this one, we are going to calculate the mass of this one, okay? So what I'm going to do is to put pause and erase all these so you don't get confused. Now, for not getting confused, for getting the information about the zinc sulfate heptahydrate, we are going to use, instead of X, Y. So I'm going to say how many grams of this one we are going to need to form what? 2 grams exactly of what? Exactly, 2 grams of zinc carbonate. So again, I put my line. I'm going to discard this because I'm not going to use it, okay? So the only things that we are going to need is this one and this one. If you want, I can rewrite the equation like X is 2 grams of zinc carbonate times 287 grams of zinc sulfate heptahydrate, 7 waters, divided by, my lines are not very good, guys. This is not so bad. 125 grams of zinc carbonate. This is a 3. Okay, so I'm going to cancel zinc carbonate and zinc carbonate, and Y is going to be 2 times 287 divided by 125 grams of zinc sulfate pentahydrate. Heptahydrate. So that is the amount that we need of the sulfate, zinc sulfate heptahydrate, and this is the mass that we need of the sodium carbonate. When we mix them together in a solution, they should form 2 grams of precipitate of zinc carbonate, and that is what we are going to obtain in the lab. We have to do it through the lab. Oh, this one, the Y. Can you give me the answer? 4 point. Okay, so it's 6 grams. And this is zinc sulfate. I'm sorry, I forgot that we didn't do the math. 7 waters pentahydrate. Okay?